Om Gangadipataye Namaha. Namaste. So to continue with the discussion about the reality of the world, if you didn't watch the last couple of episodes, you really should, because it all hinges on that discussion. Sadhu Om makes a comment here. Brahman has 5 aspects: sat-chit-ānanda, nāma-rūpa. That is, being, awareness, bliss, name, and form. The first 3 aspects are real, being eternally self-shining, whereas name and form are unreal aspects since they merely seem to exist, depending upon the illumination of sat-chit-ānanda. If, however, one sees the cause, sat-chit-ānanda, which is real, one may say, ignoring the apparent names and forms, that this universe is also real. One may say. Okay, again, I'm going to have to unpack this because it's really dense and really hard, but fundamental, foundational. If you don't get this, I mean, you're going to be lost. This is like that 300 level math class, you know, or maybe a graduate level math class that you walk into, and the instructor says, okay, well, the last semester we went over blah, 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 blah. But in this semester, we're going to do da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And you're going, what the heck is he talking about? I've been there. I know how it is. Senior level harmony in conservatory was brutal. Chromatic harmony, oh my God. Serial atonalism. Anyway, you might feel, starting to watch this series, like, what the heck is he talking about? It's very, very fundamental. It's so fundamental, we never look at it. Going all the way back to one of our first series, Matrix Learning. You should take a look at that. Because it says really there, it says the source or cause of suffering is misunderstood terms. So if we really understood the meaning of these terms, sat-chit-ānanda, nāma-rūpa, if we really understood them, and I don't just mean intellectually, I mean we realized them, then we would have no trouble with any of this stuff. It would be a breeze. It would be like self-evident by inspection. You just look and what you see and describe what you see, and it comes out as this philosophy. That's where Ramana was at. And he brought Muruganar to that place too. So these men are describing what they see. This is not out of some book or something. This is out of their experience. And you see, this is where most people go wrong. They try to get an intellectual understanding of everything, and then they're going around running their mouths, but they really don't understand the definition of I, you, him, is, am, are, being, existence, consciousness. If we really don't understand these things on a practical level, just like a carpenter understands wood, hammers, and nails, right? So somebody who works with meditation, consciousness, philosophy, or whatever, really ought to understand self, I, ego, mind, consciousness, being, communication, language, symbolic codes, and all that stuff. because that's the materials of the craft. Just like a carpenter has his wood and his tools, the philosopher has his terms, his words, his abstractions. And yes, in a sense, they're all bullshit. Because an abstraction is not the thing that it represents. The map is not the territory. So just by talking about it, you're not going to get it. Even if you can duplicate my words, you can't duplicate the understanding unless you work for it. And that's what we're trying to get you to do. So we'll come the long way around, back to the verse, okay? The first three aspects, being, awareness, and bliss, sat-chit-ānanda, are real. What does that mean? They're permanent. They don't go away. Sat, existence, chit, consciousness, ananda, bliss. Those are real. Everything else is unreal. Why? Because it's name and form only. Name and form. I used the example earlier of a laptop screen, an LCD monitor. You have a backlight, and the backlight is always on. That's Brahman. Brahman is always there, always conscious, always fully awake. Then you have the LCD thing itself, which is simply a matrix of pixels that turn on and off or become more or less transparent in different colors. So what do we have here? According to Shankaracharya, his theory of superimposition that we went over a while back. You have been following this channel, right? The theory of superimposition states that the mind is simply a filter, an obstruction, actually, between consciousness and reality. So if Brahman is reality, like the backlight of the LCD screen, the mind is like the LCD, and it's just an obstruction that becomes sometimes more or less transparent in different stages of consciousness, waking, dreaming, and sleep. The three primary colors of consciousness. But the backdrop, the background, or the substrate that's always on is Brahman, Turiya, the fourth state of consciousness. Then, if that's the definition of Brahman, why the world appears real, even to great saints and sages and self-realized people, because it reflects the first three attributes of Brahman, sat-chit-ānanda. Just like the ocean reflects the sun or the moon. See? Now, of course, the ocean has all these waves in it, right? So the reflection is never steady. It's always changing. It's unstable, unpredictable. In the same way, you see where I'm going? The modes of material nature, the gunas, reflect the light of Brahman, of God, in an unstable, ever-changing spectrum, a rainbow of ever-changing colors. That's all. That's the reality. And so the changing, unstable, impermanent, unsatisfactory, not self aspect of the material creation only appears to be real because it reflects the actual reality, the underlying substrate of universal consciousness, Brahman. So that's what we're dealing with here. Can you handle that? I sure can. So they simply seem to exist because of the illumination of sat-chit. Sat-chit is who we are. And as he says, this sat-chit-ānanda is self-shining with a capital S. That means it is our real nature. Everywhere we go, we illuminate the world, the creation, the manifestation of these inner qualities, the reflection, and then we experience those things as the world. Well, what is it really? Simply the reflection of our own light, minus the parts that are blocked out by the opacity of the mind, by thoughts. So when we allow the thoughts to settle and finally come to a complete halt, that is the substrate, that is the bedrock, the foundation, that is Brahman. And when we become established in that consciousness, it's like being asleep and awake at the same time. So it's called I. Maybe the reggae guys got it right. I and I. Amon. Because we are there with ourself. Just in the same way as the material world manifestation appears real because it reflects the reality of Brahman, the ego, the individual, the personality appears real because it reflects the reality of the sat-chit. So each of these wonderful, amazing, miraculous appearances in the world happen as a natural consequence of the existence of Brahman. Brahman illuminates them and shares its qualities, just like the ocean supports the waves. And actually the waves are nothing but ocean. But the ocean is so vast, we can't see the whole thing. We can only see the nearby part of it, and the waves are the feature that we identify. Oh yeah, that's the ocean. No, we're seeing the waves. The ocean is much deeper than that. And similarly, Brahman, we see on the surface as our so-called waking consciousness. But down deep, Brahman is the universal self. And when we realize this, we realize, I've always been this. I've always been nothing but this. And everything else is also this. Or that, to use the Upanishadic term. Tattvamasi, aham brahmasmi, shivoham. So these are all the Mahavakyas that contain this understanding in a seed form. Aum. We did a whole series on the Gayatri mantra and the meaning of Aum, and how the Gayatri expands Aum so that we can meditate on it. Because the meaning is the same. There are these three states of partial consciousness, waking, dreaming, and sleep. And then there's this one state of real consciousness, Turiya, the fourth, which cannot be explained. It's inconceivable. Why? Because it is Brahman. So when we're in deep sleep, we're in union with this Brahman. And this is our refreshment. This is our nourishment, our spiritual feeding time. That's why getting good sleep is so important. So take care of yourself. Om Tat Sat. Om Harihi Om.